I spent the next half hour in my apartment planning and packing a go bag with essential supplies for what promised to be a treacherous journey. I knew I needed food, water, a first aid kit, and extra clothing. But I also needed to be prepared for the unknown, so I added a flashlight, a survival knife, and a road map. At this point, there was one crucial element I couldn't ignore: self-defense. It was clear to me now that the circumstances demanded that I arm myself. Unfortunately, my hunting gear was already in storage until next season. I contemplated going to get it, but I decided going deeper into town would be too risky. Instead, I retrieved my revolver from my safe. It felt small in my hands, but it was better than nothing. I loaded it with the limited ammunition I had and holstered it on my belt. As I zipped up my bug-out bag, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. My plan was to make my way to my ex-girlfriend's apartment. I couldn't ignore the voicemail I'd received from her after my cell service returned. It was a desperate plea for help, and she believed that I was the only one who could help her. She was scared, and I couldn't turn my back on someone I once cared about. I hefted the bag onto my shoulder and headed for the door. My apartment felt emptier than ever, a silent reminder of the life I decided to leave behind. I locked the door, determined to find Amy. I drove part of the way, but as I got closer to her apartment, I thought it better not to draw attention to myself with my noisy truck. I parked in an alley, and as I ventured into the early morning streets, my senses were on high alert. The sidewalks were eerily empty, with only the sporadic sounds of distant screams breaking the silence. I navigated the alleys, my steps cautious and deliberate. Every corner turned and every shadow cast a sense of unease, as I knew that at any moment I could encounter trouble. I was acutely aware of the revolver at my side, my fingers brushing against the cold metal. I couldn't help but think about the lives that had been torn apart by the violent meningitis, the families forever changed, the city itself transformed into a nightmare. Amy's apartment seemed impossibly far away, and I had to take a few detours, avoiding areas where the infected had gathered. I moved silently, my eyes constantly scanning for any sign of danger. It was a test of my survival skills, and I knew that I had to stay vigilant. I finally arrived at her apartment building and quietly climbed the stairwell, as her plea for help resonated in my mind. I approached her door and hoped I wasn't too late. I knocked, my heart pounding with anticipation. When Amy opened the door, relief washed over me. Her face was pale and she looked worn, as if she hadn't slept in days. We didn't exchange words. Instead, we shared a hug, a moment of understanding due to the fear of the unknown. I knew we couldn't stay long, and I urged her to pack a bag with essentials, just like mine. Finally, with her bag in hand, we left her apartment, the dimly lit corridor vanishing behind us. We knew that the city was a perilous place, and our journey was far from over. As we made our way back to my truck, I couldn't help but feel a newfound sense of purpose. I had found my ex-girlfriend, and together, we could face the chaos that had consumed our beloved city.